I'm Richie Suave Flores.
And I'm Cori Crenshaw.
And this is Sporty with Cori and Richie Suave.
Center field. The Diamondbacks are world champions.
Down is the motion man. Little flip to Fitzgerald. He scores. And the Cardinals win an amazing game.
Mikhail Bucker with a chance. He walks in. He scores. Mikhail Bucker for the second straight game is the hero.
Back in Sporty Nation, we are now on episode 23. There's no fun songs other than Blink-182 to say no one likes you when you're 23, but everyone used that so much for their 23rd birthday. I'm 23, so all my friends, when they turn 23, they all use that. So, and as a huge Blink-182 fan, I felt like it got overused, and I never wanted to be mad at any Blink-182 song, so it's actually depressing that it's overused. But that's the only one that I could come up with.
I have a better one. So what this is the Michael Jordan episode of Sporty with Cori and Richie Suave, episode 23. We have to get a shout out to Michael Jordan, don't we?
But everyone also calls their 23rd year their Jordan year.
Yes.
When I turned 23, everyone was like, it's your Jordan year.
Yes.
So.
I'm turning 27 in a couple of months. So what is your year 27 called? You know, maybe the Eddie George year or something, because he was number 27, I think. No, nothing.
Yeah, I can't.
It just means It means that I'm old. That's what it means. It means that I'm old.
I can't think of any strong 27 significance. There's probably gonna be someone that we're leaving out, and everyone's gonna get super mad at us and be like, "Do you know who you just left out?" But I can't think of a significance.
So, what do we have coming up on this edition of the show?
Well, we will be having a talk about, again, ASU. As ASU alum, if you haven't watched our show and don't know, we will be talking about their football team once again with all of their changes they have going on, and, of course, how well their basketball team is doing.
Mm-hmm.
We also wanted to give you guys a little story of something that's interesting that's going on here in Arizona. And, you know, me and Richie were big hockey fans, and we are huge supporters of hockey in Arizona and the growth of it. So we always like to come out with any stories that we have on that. And then this will be our last show for the end of the year because of the holidays coming up. So we wanted to share with you guys some of our favorite sports memories from this year and some of our favorite memories from our 23 shows that we shot this year. Because, of course, the whole sporty world started in 2017.
Yeah.
So we'll see, what we really appreciated from 2017.
Yeah, so it'll be a nice look back at our first 6 months even, because we didn't get started until June. So it'll be a nice look back at the show and the sports world in general. There's a lot to talk about. It was kind of a down season for a couple teams here, but still a lot of great moments as far as ASU basketball and the Diamondbacks concerned. ASU football getting the win against U of A, but we'll see if that makes a list, right? But should we get into the ASU stuff first? Because this thing just continues to get wilder and wilder, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So what happened this week that we should know about?
So, on the contrary to what Ray Anderson said coming in, when he did that entire large press conference at the end and announced that the head coaching staff was going to change and that it needed to find someone who was going to be great, had great vision, and we had already said that who he brought in we didn't think had great vision. Well, the other thing that he promised ASU fans was to keep the coaching staff underneath. So his awesome offensive and defensive coordinator, who I personally believe are what held this team together this year. And now they are both gone. So if you've been keeping track, everything that Ray Anderson had said in that press conference has now been nullified. So, I don't really think he's going down the path that he wanted to, and it's kind of in a giant disarray because not only did he not, predict that this was going to happen, but he also didn't prepare for this to happen.
Yeah, so to keep you updated on what exactly has indeed gone down, defensive coordinator Phil Bennett has decided to leave the program. He hasn't quite announced where he's going to go quite yet. We'll see where he goes, but he's gone after meeting with Herm Edwards. And then it was announced just days ago at the end of the week that Billy Napier, who was in his first year as offensive coordinator during the 2017 season, and had gotten a promotion to associate head coach right after Herm Edwards was hired, is now leaving for a head coaching job with the Louisiana-Lafayette Ragin Cajuns. Now, I have a question for you, Cori, because I didn't know this when I first read this. So this is a pop quiz. Are you ready for the pop quiz?
Sure.
Which conference are the Louisiana-Lafayette Ragin Cajuns in?
No idea.
Exactly. They're in this Sun Belt Conference. So they have a coordinator who is leaving an offensive coordinator job in the Pac-12 to go be the head coach of Louisiana-Lafayette in the Sun Belt Conference. Now, they don't have a big pedigree when it comes to NFL stars. I looked it up the other day doing research for the Freaks. They have one guy who I recognize as being, that's kind of a cool name, former quarterback of the Carolina Panthers, Jake Delhomme, who took the Panthers to the Super Bowl in 38 and lost to Tom Brady. He left a offensive coordinator gig in a Power 5 school, and he's kind of the coach in waiting in a way behind Herm Edwards. And he left to go to a Sun Belt Conference team. Isn't that not ridiculous?
It has to speak dividends, honestly, because of the fact that if you left ASU to go to such a small conference and such a small school, that you had to have done it simply because either A, you were so determined to only coach with the head coach that you came in with, or B, you really don't want to work with Edwards. And
right.
like, that is the only two reasons why you can be doing this. And it's funny too, because in all of this, Bennett, when he announced that he was leaving, it wasn't that he just like announced that he was leaving. He was leaving because of personal reasons, and that they were reportedly health issues. My problem I have with that is we've never heard anything about him having any type of health issues or any worries from
right.
him at all. And then all of a sudden he has personal health problems.
Right.
It seems fishy to me, and it seems to me that there's a lack of faith from these coordinators. That it just seems to me that once Edwards was announced, they got to the point where they were like, we're out. We will
right.
find our excuses. We will find other programs, even if they are way beneath where I think I should be a coordinator at. I should be leaving. That is insane to me that they have that little faith in it. And another thing that was really weird in all of this is Manny Wilkins will have 4 offensive coordinators in 4 years.
That's
we were
wild.
talking about that earlier. It shocked us. Like, the lack of stability in that is insane.
Right. But here's the thing, though. So I thought this was interesting. So they decided to promote Rob Likens, who was the wide receivers coach last year, or this year in 2017, to be the new offensive coordinator. And I think that's the reason why they did that, is because Ray Anderson preached this idea of continuity. That's why Rob Likens has this job, instead of going out and doing kind of a comprehensive search for somebody who maybe has more experience, being a coordinator, or maybe from the NFL and Herm Edwards' contacts. Because there's been some reports that one of the lead frontrunners for the defensive coordinator job is going to be coming from the NFL. So this is interesting to me that they decided to keep, promote from within, and Rob Likens. And he seems like a guy who's very well liked within the team. So as far as like who the onus is on here, who screwed up the most in this, from what I understand, Billy Napier has family in Louisiana. That's kind of where he's from the Southeast. I think this just makes ASU look bad. I don't blame Billy Napier for leaving at all.
I don't blame either.
Yeah, he's getting a head coaching job here.
I don't blame either of them for leaving. As coordinators, you go according to who you are coordinating underneath, and you have to have full courage in where this team is going, and I don't think they did.
Yeah.
So what's the point if you don't believe in something? Why are you going to stay there?
Why are you going to stay the course?
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't blame either of them for leaving. I'm disappointed because I was so impressed by what they had done this year.
Right.
It makes me feel worried as a fan and as an alumni. I'm sure there's going to be people ripping in us and saying, ASU is always going to be a mediocre school and saying that, we shouldn't be expecting anything big from them. But I mean, Ray Anderson came in here and preached over and over again about how he wanted his top teams to be top programs.
Right.
So he wanted ASU football to be on top, and he wanted ASU basketball to be on top. Everyone always has thought that ASU basketball is always going to be a mediocre program, and they're undefeated.
Yeah,
so
that's
you don't know what's going to come out of here.
Yeah, let's get into that, because that's what we really want to get to talk about, because we get to talk about something fun in relation to Sun Devil sports for once. Because I will tell you, I haven't given a rat's ass about ASU basketball since I was in school, which was 4 or 5 years ago. So the fact that Bobby Hurley has these guys at 10-0, ranked 5th in the country, they had their biggest win in program history on the road, taking down Kansas. And I watched that game. This is the first time I've watched a regular season college basketball game from start to finish, and I don't even remember how long it's been. It was it was a fun basketball game to watch, and ASU dominated that game from about the 10-minute mark of the first half until the end of the game. They outscored Kansas by a ridiculous amount after Kansas got cold shooting from the field. So this is a fun team to watch too. They have a lot of players. Remy Martin, the guard from Guard U, it's just so much fun to watch defensively. And because of his speed and his tenacity on defense, he's able to create offense. He's then able to get the ball to Trey Holder, who put up 40 points earlier this year, who's in contention for Pac-12 Player of the Year, maybe even National Player of the Year. It's kind of crazy to think about that, but this team is fun. They had 10,000 people in attendance on Sunday when they got their 10th win of the season. This is the thing in town now the Cardinals are bad. How awesome is this to have a really good college basketball team and it be the Arizona State Sun Devils? It's pretty dope. Well,
in addition to that, and I did kind of want to bring up there's a couple things I wanted to bounce off you there. You had mentioned Remy Martin. He's listed as number 3 on AZ Central. Did 5 reasons why they're doing so well, and 1 was the ASU senior guards have improved. 2 was ASU's inside protection. 3 was Remy Martin. 4 was ASU gets to the foul line, and 5 was Bobby Hurley and saying his intensity. The man has always been very intense,
yes,
but at least his intensity is going in a great direction this year. But one of the other things I always wanted to mention that has been a huge thing ASU for all these years, but I don't feel like it got the attention that it deserved because the team wasn't doing that well, but the curtain of distraction. Who do you know who was at the curtain of the distraction yesterday?
Yes, in fact, I do know. I'm glad you asked, because Archie Bradley was, in fact, behind the curtain of distraction on Sunday. The night after, by the way, he was in attendance at the Coyotes game. So Archie Bradley is getting around. Your new closer for the Arizona Diamondbacks, more than likely, because Fernando Rodney's gone. It
is beautiful on so many levels. Like, that made me so happy. Like, he went to the Coyotes game, and then he did the curtain of distraction as well. He's getting around, so he's becoming a name in Arizona sports throughout the valley, and he's getting himself out there, which is amazing to me. And that's what I wanted from him. And then 2, he's part of curtain of distraction. He is helping with this push of getting acknowledgement for the fact that how many teams is it now that are undefeated?
Yeah, as of Sunday, again, we're taping on Sunday. So as of Sunday afternoon, there are now 4 undefeated teams in the entirety of the men's college basketball landscape. And one of them is the Sun Devils. So I have a question for you before we wrap this up and get to Cori's Corner. What is the ceiling for this team? How good can they be? Are they just a team that's going to contend for a Pac-12 title? Are they a team that's going to get to the tournament and contend for an Elite 8 or a Final 4? Or are they just a team that's, going to contend for the Pac-12 and then get to the tournament and, lose before they get to the Sweet 16? What do you consider to be kind of, if they play their best like they are right now, where can this team go?
I think that this team can get to Sweet 16 if they are staying on the exact path they are on. If they let up at all, I feel like this team has the ability to crumble, because that is the way of ASU, and that is the ASU curse.
Yeah.
But if they stick to how they are playing right now, I honestly think they could go so far, because of the fact that it's very rare to have a team that clicks. And this is the first time in a long time that ASU has had a team that finally clicks.
Yeah, it's been since the James Harden era, since they've really had a contender for even a berth in March Madness. So as far as I'm concerned, I think this team right now is a team that is going to get themselves into March Madness, and from there, sky's the limit. You know, the tail of the tape here is really going to be what's going to happen during Pac-12 season, when they roll around and they play U of A on the road in Tucson to tip off the Pac-12 schedule right before the new year.
Which that will absolutely piss off U of A fans, because that has been the one thing that U of A has tried to hold over ASU for years, is that their team is always better than ASU's. So if ASU can do really well against U of A, it will make my soul so happy. I can't even tell you.
Make all of us happy. But so we'll see how the ASU does. Go Devils, forks up, go Bobby Hurley, kick ass down the road. But now it is time to take a jaunt into Cori's Corner.
Hello, Sporty Nation, and welcome into my corner for this week. I am not going to be doing really much of anything serious this time around. I just really wanted to talk to you guys and wish you all happy holidays and say thank you so much for joining us for the second half of 2017 and becoming part of our Sporty Nation. It has been so amazing to spend the last half of a year here with you guys, and we cannot wait to see what is coming in 2018, and we hope you guys have the best holidays, and we hope that all of the greatness that has come in Arizona sports in the past 6 months continues, and that everyone really just enjoys being together and enjoying all of the sports and awesomeness that is to come. So I just want to wish you guys the best and say thank you for coming along for the ride and continue to join us. Thank you.
First off, Sporty Nation, I would just like to echo exactly what Cori just said during her Cori's Corner. We have been around the block for 6 months, but all of our Sporty Nation members have been awesome and very supportive of us, following us on every social media platform you can think of. So bigger things to come in 2018. And coming up later in the show, we're going to discuss our favorite moments, not only of the show, but of sports in general. But our second topic on the show today is a kind of a newsworthy topic that we both saw and kind of went, oh, that's not cool. It is a story of a local hockey player and some issues he's having south of the border in Mexico. So what exactly who is this player, and why exactly is he newsworthy?
You made it sound like we're going to a restaurant over here. I think that is a restaurant, isn't it? South of the border? Okay, that's what I thought. But yes, so Hector Majul, sorry if I butchered that, but on August 22nd, he was heading back to his hometown in Mexico. And when he tried to re-enter the United States, he was denied. So he was here in the U.S. on a student visa. He had come in when he was in high school, and he played hockey for Notre Dame Preparatory, who is normally Notre Dame is one of the better teams for high school hockey here. They have a pretty good D1 team that's always getting into the finals, and so he went from that to, and he also played youth hockey here as well. And he went from that to getting a scholarship at Newman University in Pennsylvania. So he's been here and playing hockey here for quite a while, which is one of the reasons why we kind of wanted to tell this story, because he was someone who was pursuing further things with hockey, and being someone that has mostly gone through it in this state, it's always very interesting for us to get that out there. But the biggest thing that we found with it was, So he had gone through an immigration check at Houston's William P. Hobby Airport, and he was questioned over a small amount of prescription pills he'd been carrying for his girlfriend. They asked him a bunch of questions. He said that they asked him about 50 questions, and later they said that he was getting deported on an expedited removal order. And on it, he thought it was because of the prescription pills that he had been questioned about earlier, but it was actually the way he answered one of his questions. When he asked, referring to the agent, me that question about why did I leave my last place of residence, all I said was to go pursue a career in hockey. He assumed I was trying to stay illegally in the United States pursuing this career after my visa had expired. And the deportation order said that it was because he is an immigrant not in possession of a valid, unexpired immigrant visa. And even though he had already presented it and it was stamped by immigration officials upon his arrival at the airport, and his deportation order states that he cannot enter the country for another 5 years. So this kid came a part of the Arizona hockey, basically like religion. It's its own little group of people that live here and grow up, playing hockey and all that stuff. And, became a part of this system and wanted to go and do better things and represent the state and hockey in the state in such a great way, goes to go visit his family and is, basically is living the dream of being able to play college hockey like so many guys want to do, and got a scholarship to do it. So he's getting an education, getting to play hockey, obviously had a girlfriend that was here, and then gets deported and can't return for another 5 years.
Yeah.
This poor kid. I can't, as it is, we try so hard to support hockey in this state and try and bring it to light and bring all the good things about it to light. And when I saw this and it is beautiful because there's the reason why I saw it was so many people in the hockey community were sharing it, and saw so many people on my Facebook that were, outraged and distraught by it. And so it's great that they come together and they support their own, but it just is so hard to see someone who's trying to do things the right way, get stuck in such a situation like this.
Yeah, I think the big issue of this, and it sounds like to me, is that the agents here thought when he said hockey meant like professional hockey. So how can you be a professional hockey player yet have a student visa? Yet he is an actual student enrolled through a scholarship at Newman College, obviously. So you would think that this would get overturned and he would indeed be playing hockey again in the States and he'd be able to come back. But it's sad. It is sad. This is one of those stories that he went to high school here. He's worked his ass off, obviously, to better himself and his family. He's going to college to get an education, obviously, because, like you said, when you're playing kind of, junior hockey, basically, a lot of times, and you're going to a school like Newman, you're not doing it because you want to become a pro hockey player. You're doing it because you want it as a means to get an education, right? And I think that's the thing that sucks the most here is it just shows you how screwed up our immigration policy is in this country. And this is the perfect example of why things need to change. And I hope that, and I understand, according to this 12 News article that you gave to me, Cori, is that his host mom has created a Facebook page, and they're trying to create a way to get him back to the States. Now, he did indeed lose his first appeal for his deportation, but he'll have more, obviously. But immigration courts are kind of notoriously slow, I think. So I don't think this is going to have a quick resolution, but I hope things turn out well because, like I said, it's a great story. It's a great for Arizona hockey to have a kid like this go on and continue to do good things, in college and get an education.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really sad for this kid's life because, he's in the middle of college. He's not getting to finish college, and he's also not getting to finish college hockey. It's in the middle of his season, and he's not going to be able to finish the season out with it. Because if it takes them a couple months, that's the whole next semester, and that's an entire semester that he's going to be gone for, and that's so sad. And it just, and I kind of understand where this got a little misconstrued, because when he was saying that he was going to pursue a career in hockey, I think he's meaning in the way that obviously he left Arizona to go to Pennsylvania because he got a scholarship to play hockey. The reason why he was moving there was to play hockey. But he's also getting his education along with it, and he's just trying to live his life like everyone else. He's not doing anything wrong, and I feel like this is so sad, and I think it's great that it shows the strength of how tightly knit this hockey community is in the state. But I feel for him, and I feel for, his host mom and anyone. I know that he had hosts before that as well, so any of the people who have hosted him before and all of the people that know him and, care for him here, I just feel bad for everyone. And it's a really sad story. And this is not the type of stories that I want to be coming out about, Arizona hockey.
Oh, yeah, I 100% agree. We'll definitely keep you updated on this, Sporty Nation, as developments warrant. Like I said, I doubt it's going to, we're going to get a resolution anytime soon. But we wish the best for Hector and his family going forward. But Cori, coming up next on the show, we're going to get into kind of a recap of 2017. Not only our best moments from the world of sports in Phoenix, nationally, around the world, but also our favorite moments from this show as well. It's coming up next on Sporty with Cori and Richie Suave.
All right, Richie. So now it is time for us to end this episode on a high note. We are going to be talking about our favorite moments in sports this year and our favorite sporty moment this year. So I will start with you, Richie. What is one of your favorite sports moments this year?
Okay, so not surprisingly, we could have put a lot of Diamondbacks moments on our list, but for my number 3 moment, sporty and sports, is JD Martinez 4-homer game on the road in LA against the hated LA Dodgers. This is, I believe he was the 12th player in Major League Baseball history to hit 4 home runs in a game. First player to do, actually, him and Scooter Jeanette both hit 4 home runs this year. But other than that, it's been a long time as the players hit 4 home runs in a game. So JD Martinez's 4 homers in a boat race of LA on the road was my number 3 moment. Please resign, JD. Please.
Oh my gosh, that season itself goes down as such greatness of this year. It meant so much to me, which is why my number 3 was the wild card game. I thought I was going to throw up almost the entire game because I was that nervous. I had mentioned to you all, if you watched that episode, I had my rally sombrero on, and I was very afraid that I was going to be throwing up into my rally sombrero because I got very nauseous at a certain point. I knew it was going to be a high-scoring game, but I did not think it was going to be that intense. It was an intense game, and now that I'm looking back on it, when you have those really, painful falls, like you tumble down a bunch of stairs, and it's not funny in the moment, but when you look back on it, it's funny. I find much more pleasure out of that game looking back on it now that I am no longer nauseous and know that the Diamondbacks came out ahead. But that would be my number 3.
Where would you rank Archie Bradley's triple?
Ooh.
See, because if I were doing my list,
true.
I just would have picked that particular moment. Because we've already mentioned Archie Bradley on the show back in the first segment, and Archie Bradley's triple was the culmination of that game. And I think we talked about at the time, one of my favorite moments in Diamondbacks history was the Archie Bradley triple.
Yeah, that is a good point. I will not deny that is an absolutely good point, because I was never, and it was funny, two different things came to my mind. I was so happy for Archie and everything that he's brought to this team. And two, I was so sad for Jake Lamb and anyone else that lives with him, because I know for a fact that throughout his entire house, he has his name and his own memorabilia plastered up on like every wall in his house. So I know that none of them would ever live that down for forever. They would have to be hearing about it for like the rest of their careers. Like Archie would find them, and even if they weren't even on the team anymore, he would still be bringing that up. But yeah, that I have to agree, that would be one of my top memories of like the Diamondbacks of all time.
Okay.
Like I absolutely loved it.
Okay, so let's move on to my number 2 moment. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, good. I can count still. Sorry, I lost track for.
No, it's okay. We ramble a bit and lose track of time.
So my number 2 moment is another moment that we've already talked about on this show, but when something is the biggest that a particular team has ever done, that's easily right up there. And so for me, ASU basketball beating Kansas on the road. I almost said Kentucky, but beating Kansas on the road is my number 2 moment of the year. I've already mentioned why. Incredible moment, fun game to watch. Players loved it. Top 5 team in the country. That win got them. So congratulations again to ASU basketball for getting my number 2 moment and my number 1 sports moment of the year on my list, at least.
I have to agree with you on that one, just because it is amazing, and seeing ASU basketball go to these heights is something that I've always wanted, and I'm so happy that they're finally there. The number 2 sports moment for me, though, I'm going to start getting sentimental on you guys all the way through the end of my countdown here, is the retirement run of Dale Earnhardt Jr., because of the fact that it was, if you guys watched our previous episode where we had talked about it when he was at PIR, it's very sentimental to me and my youth because of the fact of his dad. And, you know, I was around when his dad died, and when he came and took over his dad's legacy, and then getting to the point where he is now retiring and having a baby. It's very just heartfelt and very kind of sentimental to me. So that was my number 2 because it meant so much to me.
That's a good one. That was a really good one. I dig that one. I was at that race, like I said. I haven't had a chance to talk about it since then, but being actually a really good race. Matt Kenseth ended up winning, and what was most likely his final race at Phoenix. It was like I kind of walking around pit lane beforehand. I had plenty of pictures of it. I took a picture of the stripe on the track at the start finish line, and it had little 88s marked in it. And everybody kind of wrote their like goodbyes to Dale. Really, that was really cool. I agree, 100%. I was actually out at Phoenix Raceway last week. I took a tour of some of the new stuff coming.
Oh.
Yeah, you'll see the full video on the Canadian Crash Facebook page, Twitter, all the social media handles soon. But I cannot wait until November to see that track finished.
That's going to be so cool.
Yes, it is. So my number 1 is my favorite sporty moment of the year. It is when we took a trip down to Pacific Beach on our final day in San Diego for Comic-Con weekend, and we did a sporty special from San Diego talking about our experiences at Comic-Con. And that, to me, was my favorite thing we've done on the show, because we had to do something fun. We had to do it on the beach. It was beautiful weather. So that was my number 1 moment, sporty-wise. I also had a tie with that, too, that I really enjoyed. But we'll get to that in a second. I'll let you reveal your number 1 choice before we get to my co-title.
I would like to point out I absolutely loved that one, too, because I loved going to Comic-Con, and obviously I love being in San Diego. I go there every year. It's like my second home, Pacific Beach. And I would like to point out that Richie is very well dressed for that announcement of his number one, because he is like head to toe Green Arrow right now. Stephen Amell would be proud.
Thank you.
But my number one would be, again, very sentimental, our first episode, because every time I see our first episode, I always go back to how far that the show has gone and how far it's grown, and just all of the memories that we've all made as friends working on the show together, and how close we've all gotten. And it's been really cool to do such a show that we love and have so much fun doing, and doing it with some of my best friends and people that just I genuinely love to be around. It's been amazing, and I just think of how the great times that we have together every time I see that first episode.
Oh,
I know.
That was really nicely said. We're gonna have a cry session on Sporty for the first time ever.
I know. That's what I do. I bring the girly, like chick flick tear fest part into the end of this countdown. You can't recap things without getting emotional. Let's be honest.
No, you can't. It's been an incredible 23 episode first season, I guess you could say, of Sporty with Cori and Richie. And season 2, ooh, you know what we should do? I just had this idea. We should end season 1 on a cliffhanger.
Well, okay. So if we want to do this in our favorite way of our favorite show, I will kill you, throw you off of a mountain, and we will all assume that you are dead. And I will be Ra's al Ghul, and I will lead the League of Assassins, and I will happily lead a bunch of assassins, and then you can be found by some Asian lady who will bring you back to life and in the next season. I mean, for right now, we can just all assume that you're dead. We'll go from there. No, you don't like the cliffhanger? No? Okay. Well, that was the best one I got, so I don't know what else I can give you.
Okay, everybody, it is now time for my favorite segment of the show as we wrap up 2017 here on Sporty with Cori and Richie Suave. It is now time for my Dick of the Week. To wind up the show here. And this week it goes out to who I believe is now the worst freaking owner in all of sports. Sporty Nation, you probably read this story. It was going around a couple of our Twitter circles earlier this week, blowing up through the NHL as the Ottawa Senators were playing in the kind of NHL 100 Classic against the Montreal Canadiens. Their freaking owner, Eugene Melnyk, had them balls. They've been having a lot of issues with their arena and wanting to get a new rink built in Ottawa. He basically hinted that he wants to move the team from Ottawa, threatening to move them. He said this, and I quote, "If it doesn't look good here, it could look very, very nice somewhere else. But I'm not suggesting that right now. All I'm saying is that I would never sell the team." He went on to say at one point, one of the two have to break. You can't keep spending at the top end and getting the lowest revenues. So he is calling out his fan base. He is calling out the entire team because he doesn't know how to manage a hockey club when you have one of the best freaking players in all of the world in Erik Karlsson as your top line defenseman. Eugene Melnyk, you dick. You bastard. Stop trying to want to move your team and focus on winning. Eugene Melnyk, you are my Dick of the Week. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on this edition of Sporty with Cori and Archie Suave. We'll talk to you again in 2018, everybody. Good night and good sports, everybody.